Hey, welcome everyone to Story Trading. Man, do we have an exciting, comprehensive special weekly meetup line for you tonight because of what's going on in Ukraine. It just so happened we had a lot of stocks we wanted to have updates on with either recent catalysts or upcoming catalysts. So we already had all those pre-scheduled and we don't want to cancel that. So we're doing a special 2-hour edition where after we do the regular stocks, we'll jump into what's going on with Ukraine. So quick disclaimer, Story Trading is not an investment advisor. That goes also for all of our speakers and our guests. Investing in securities involves significant risk of loss. If you're watching this on social media, what is a story trading? Story trading is the practice of understanding market pricing through the lens of our 4 pillars: fundamentals, catalysts, sentiment, and technicals. We collaborate as a community on WhatsApp and on Zoom, and we are building our own app. You can sign up for that or to be part of our WhatsApp community over at StoryTrading.com. We have lots of what we call VIP picks. These are stocks that are presented on Zoom at our weekly meetups on Sunday night. So you can head over to StoryTrading.com and see all those stocks we've presented in the past with links to the YouTube recording. So as we said tonight, the topic, we'll do an update on some key VIP picks. Then we'll have that special extended session on what's going on in Ukraine and how we can benefit monetarily from that. So tonight we'll be doing TPCS with Mark Gomes giving us an update, TFFP. Zach Keller will give us an update because of recent catalysts. Gaia earnings are tomorrow, so we'll quickly chat about that. I'll give you an update on CFVI and an introduction to SEAC. So we're going to go through these real fast because this is a lot of stuff. So first, just a quick little preview of what we'll do in the second half about the Russia-Ukraine war impact. So at this point, with the events over the weekend, I no longer think this is just trading volatility, which some of us have been trying to do and hedging and things like that in our trade room. I think at this point, this is not just noise and short-term volatility, but there is an opportunity here. And that opportunity is based on this. I believe a line has been crossed with what's going on in Russia and the threat of nukes. I think the world has been changed forever, and sentiment will try and foresee longer term fundamental changes in multiple sectors. So here are a few ideas we'll be talking about. I think these can be powerful trend trades for many months or quarters, maybe even years, a long-term shift, maybe lasting as long as the COVID trade or more. So we're talking about reduced dependence on Russia. We're going to be seeing defense spending maybe going up, fears of nuclear war, something new to our generation, which may be something that may spark some trade ideas, and we'll do some brainstorming. So we'll get to that at the end, but for now, TPCS, this is a VIP stock, and someone's making a little bit of noise. If you could turn off your mic over there. Let's quickly do that. Sorry about that. All right, got you. All right, so TPCS last trade $1.74, market cap 60 million. This is a defense sector stock, and I invited Mark Gomes to come tonight because of what's going on in Russia and Ukraine. I thought maybe there's a sentiment tailwind here, so let's get the update on the fundamentals in case people like the fundamental story combined with possible positive sentiment. So there are defense sector, again, submarine parts, helicopter parts. It's up 10% since it was first presented to our community by Ashley Day. So with that, before I turn it over to Mark, here's the chart. So you can take a look at the chart and what we do by collaborating with people like Mark on the fundamental side and collaborating with other people in our community. We try to understand this chart and kind of predict what may come next based on our 4 pillars, again, sentiment, catalyst, fundamentals, and technical. So Mark, you've been here many times, awesome friend of the community. You're a great fundamental investor. So let's hear the fundamental story from you and any other updates you have to give us on TPCS.
Yeah, and first of all, shout out to the family out in Moldova. For those who don't know, my wife is Moldovan, which borders Ukraine. We were at the Ukrainian border just a few months ago. It's been known to us and a lot of people in Europe for quite some time that there is a new Cold War underway, and Putin does have aspirations to reunite the old Soviet Union. That coming to a head partly due to the fact that many of these countries, including Moldova, recently instilled a more European, US friendly government, less communist friendly government. which my wife actually helped to vote in. So this is something we've known about for some time. The original Cold War, when we talk about Cold War, ended over 30 years ago. In October, I put out a report. By the way, you can follow me on YouTube, Money Mark Gomes, Gomes. And I did a deep dive on TPCS on my blog site, which you can access by going to tinyurl.com/mgtpcs, and you can see that there. But so as Ben said, they are involved in this space. Most notably right now, we're looking at CH53, and you can look all these up. I won't go through them one by one, but you can look Google and see what these things do. CH53 heavy lift choppers, which allow the transport of big machinery. You've got the F-15EX, and if you've heard about the use of hypersonic missiles, which Russia has in abundance right now, they're very strong on that. And the nuclear side, we have these F-15EXs that can be used as a hypersonic launch platform to counter that. So there's a lot going on, obviously, where even before this occurred, as I said back in October, I said the Cold War is back. This has been known in Europe for quite some time. There is a new Cold War, and we're seeing military spending kick up. 2020 saw the highest military spending by the US government since the end of the Cold War. So 30 years, okay? That's a long time, obviously. And the experts out there say that this is the beginning, that federal spending is set to resume its long-term trend of taking on a greater proportion of GDP, okay? So all of these trends work in favor of TPCS, which is a specialized manufacturer of parts for various, whether it's choppers, submarines, aircraft carriers. They've recently invested a great deal of money in manufacturing prototypes to show their customers and potential customers that they can be relied upon to make these precision parts. And no mistake, these are not easy to manufacture. One of TPCS's rivals actually backed out of the space because they made a huge multi-million-dollar error in the manufacture of some of these parts, okay? So TPCS has no such history of making mistakes. They're very high precision. That's the thing, the good, the bad, and the ugly about CEO Alex Chen is you might think that he's not super investor friendly, although that's changed. Many of you might have seen the last couple of quarters, he's finally becoming more investor friendly, but he is a stickler for perfection. And that's what enabled him to take TPCS from near bankruptcy to where it is now. You could have bought this stock for about a nickel not too long ago, and now here we are at close to $2. They are now taking Stadco, their recent acquisition, which focuses more on those helicopters I talked about, and they're going. Then that's a turnaround as well. This is a company that could have very well gone out of business themselves. All right, so I would say the main update on all this, and again, you can go check out my reports and whatnot, and I'm sure there's lots of research in Ben's rooms I've seen myself about all this. So just the quick update there is, obviously this is all heating up. In addition to that, beyond the military side, Mevion, which makes protein beam machinery for cancer treatment, that is an area that's finally heating up. And TPCS has historically been a customer of Mevion in the manufacturing process there. Okay, so we're starting to see is a huge increase in the backlog that TPCS is seeing, both organically and from the acquisition of Stadco. All right, now what's going on the flip side of things is two maybe things that have been holding the stock back. One, having purchased Stadco partly for with stock, those shareholders on the Stadco side of things, have an inclination to take some profits off the table. We're finally out of lockup. We can cash in now on this investment that we made all these years ago. And yes, there's been a large seller out in the marketplace since the stock was in just about the mid twos, and that's been weighing on the stock. In addition to that, their margins, and in particular their gross margins this most recent quarter, looked abysmal, okay? And that is due in part to, again, the Stadco acquisition. They've taken on what could be known as a boat anchor, no pun intended, of a company. And Alex, with his expertise in turning companies around like he did with TPCS originally, is looking to turn now Stadco around. And we get those margins up to where they can be. We get that backlog ramping up there. We think it can be based on the numbers that we've run. And this is a company that could be doing upwards of $20 million of net income in a few years, whereas they currently have a market cap of 60 million. Once we get through these headwinds of getting the margin up, turning Stadco around, and getting this large seller out of the way, this can really be a multi-bagger off to the races type story.
Great, thank you, Mark, for that update. So I got a question for you. We could be seeing, it could happen, I don't know, I'm not guaranteeing it will happen, but it's possible that there could be traders who find TPCS as a kind of sentiment trade. And my question for you is, we like to think, I've mentioned before at StoryTrading, we think of sentiment as a tool to speculate on future fundamentals, right? So rather than just being something emotional, it's actually people out there speculating that, hey, TPCS will get more business in the future. If we do see that sentiment trade come in, do you think that those people making that bet, they're making the right bet? Do you see a direct line between what's happening in Russia and Ukraine and increased spending that may come TPS's TP? I know that takes time with Congress and things like that, but do you see this being a direct benefit sometime in the future because of what's going on in Ukraine to TPCS?
Yeah, and as I said, this was already kind of etched in stone a little bit with what we believe to be the start of a new Cold War, and now that's really in more people's faces now. So as more traders do catch wind of the fact that we are in a new Cold War era, they are going to be looking for companies that can benefit. And yes, I got to tell you, from my standpoint, I've been saying for several weeks, Russia is going to go in. I mean, we've got people on the border. We know people, I knew people in Ukraine when this stuff happened, people that needed to get out of Ukraine, and thank God they did get out. But because of that, we are very knowledgeable of the situation over there and knew, yes, they are going to go in. But I will tell you this, we were all shocked, all of us, of how far in they went. We thought that they only wanted that piece in the, on the Upper East Side of the country, and they went full in to the point where we've got relatives that smelled gunpowder, that heard bombs over the border in Moldova. So what does that do? Obviously accelerates the world's need for more military equipment and might, both from the standpoint of self-defense. We have to gear up in case of, in case this escalates, in case Russia becomes more of an aggressor, but also because a lot of this stuff gets exhausted, right? You knock out a tank, you need a new tank. You knock down a plane, you need a new tank, a new plane. So like I said, this is a new era of military spending around the world. And I do think this conflict is going to accelerate that.
Okay. Great. Mark, unless there's any quick questions, because we got like 4 or 5 other stocks to cover in the next 40 minutes, give it just a quick second if someone wants to unmute themselves or raise their hand. But otherwise, Mark, you're welcome. I don't know. Are you going to be sticking around? You got some time tonight?
I'll stick around a little bit.
All right. Well, maybe we'll come back to Mark if someone has a question, if it's still around. So Mark, thank you so much. After we go through our other stocks, we'll come back to the Ukraine war story with some other ideas possibly. Thank you, Mark.
Sure thing.
But if you're not a member of StoryTrading yet, you can become a VIP member at StoryTrading.com. We have access to a dedicated WhatsApp group for each of the stocks we talked about tonight. And you can head over to our website. Also check out our other events coming up. You can follow us on YouTube and on Twitter at StoryTrading.